Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin, powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Good afternoon on Tuesday. Welcome back from your 3-day weekend. I'm Robert O'Haver, and with me today is Caleb McKelvin.
What's up, Robert?
Good man, good man. Today it's exciting. We got a camera crew in the studio, working on a promo and all kinds of stuff. Got lots of great things to tell you guys today. We also have a guest in the room here with us, and his name is Logan. Logan is the
Editor-in-Chief.
Editor-in-Chief, thank you.
Let's go
of
with the big
Orion
name.
Publishing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I thought Commander-in-Chief, but Editor-in-Chief will work.
I'll take President. I'll take Your Highness.
Whoa,
Supreme
okay.
Emperor.
So he is the editor-in-chief of Orion Publishing, which is a book company. And he's going to help us today. We're going to talk a little bit about quality content and all kinds of stuff. But first, I want to talk about the changes that are going on. I'm sure you guys see the new logo. Give me your thoughts on that. We could change that up. But Search Talk Live is the new name of the show. We had to change it from Digital Duo because Digital Duo was already used.
Yeah, it was, Robert. And that was kind of annoying because Digital Duo came so easy to us. And then we tried to come up with a new name, and we had a little difficulty. But just like that, Search Talk Live was born.
Yeah. So we're going to have a website up here pretty shortly. We haven't got it up yet, but we're going to be we're going to be on iTunes. We'll be on we'll probably be on Mixler still.
Yeah.
But we'll be live broadcasting from how do you pronounce it? Hold on a second. We'll be live broadcasting from Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com.
Yeah.
This is an easier way for us to do the podcast because it actually disseminates all the information to YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as we go live. And it kind of makes things a little easier. And then it also puts it on iTunes so you can listen there, which is a great thing. And we're pretty excited. We might be doing mobile apps and everything else for the show, which is pretty cool. And then working towards hopefully one day maybe getting on a real station.
Yeah. There's a lot to look forward to as we move on with Search Talk Live. It's been great so far. We started this radio show podcast to kind of help others with SEO and just kind of speak our minds on and combine our professional experience. And we've really gotten some good feedback, Robert, on what we're doing and the people listening and people engaging with the show. And so we really want to take it to the next level. And this is our first step, and we're really excited about moving forward with it.
Oh, and by the way, and I want to thank all of you for your support.
Yes, absolutely.
Without you, this probably wouldn't be happening. So
absolutely. We appreciate everybody listening and interacting with us here on previously Digital Duo, now Search Talk Live.
Yeah.
And, we hope to grow and keep this thing going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the number to call in here is if you have a question is 855-722-0006. That number won't change. That's 855-722-0006. You can call in with your questions, and we'll try and answer them. So let's dive right into this. Logan?
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about quality content and what we think or what exactly is quality content. Everybody's got that, what does Google mean? It's such a gray area, the way they describe it, right, Logan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, absolutely. Before I really get into that, let me just describe a little bit about me and like how I got into this business industry.
Do.
Yeah. Now, I work for a publishing company now. We're very great. We're doing wonderful right now. But before I got into this particular industry, I was a writer myself. I concentrate on fiction and playwriting. I've worked for numerous companies over the years. I spent some time in England and wrote over there for a while, all through college, all through high school. So my expertise, per se, wasn't so much on the technical side of like design or web development. It really was strictly on storytelling, which sounds pretty limiting whenever you look at it in that one particular way. But every business and everything that everybody does is always about how to sell your story to somebody else.
And you've actually written some plays and stuff too.
I do, yeah. I've written tons of plays. I've had 7 plays produced in my life so far. Working on my own novel in my spare time off my day job. So I still I'm part of that world, and I never really want to leave it. However, through circumstances, I kind of got headhunted by certain businesses to write quality web and editorial content for them to ultimately help sell their business, because ultimately storytelling is what it's all about. And I never dreamed whenever I was like working in college that I'd eventually be working for companies to sell their own stuff to them. I always just thought it was just about fiction and the Hemingway, Faulkner dream kind of thing. But no, it applies to every industry and every single thing that we work on. So it really is a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, Logan, when you said it's all about the story. Every company has a story, and we all love a story as an audience, no matter what the industry is, no matter what we're trying to reading about. If you can attach a story that taps into the emotional component, it just taps in and draws us in, you have them, you got them. You can basically sell them anything, but it's all about telling that story, getting them to engage with the content, and being able to do that is a unique talent, and one I've read your stuff. One I think you've done very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Probably the elaborate on that. Probably the single most important thing any company or any individual that wants to sell themselves as a personal brand. To separate yourself in the industry, you have to have your own distinct voice. That is absolutely vital. And I talked to a whole bunch of writers, and when I'm reading their work, and they're saying, I don't have that Hemingway oomph for Raymond Carver, or, everybody that has that own distinct way, and like James Joyce's example, it's like 30 language psychobabble,
right.
Everyone has their own special thing. But I'm talking to you right now. I have my own distinct voice. Robbo has his own distinct voice. Everybody
You like my voice?
I do. I love your voice. Very sexy. But we all use it in our everyday lives, all this. And to establish trust and to establish who you are in the industry and the different things you have to do, the only thing you have to do is take that natural voice that we all have and is already immediately interesting because people wouldn't talk to us otherwise, and translate that from vocals onto a page. It really is that simple.
You make it sound so easy, Logan.
Right.
You make it sound so easy, but everybody's out there scratching their head and be like, what? It's not that easy. What are you talking about? But you're exactly right. Everybody's got a story. And being able to express that story to your audience is going to set you apart from everybody else. So just take us, I don't want to give all your secrets away, but when you are sitting down and trying to figure out how you're going to portray one story, how are you going to begin the writing process? I mean, what's your mindset? What are you looking for?
All right. This is probably the number one thing that everybody struggles with. Like whenever they go into writing a piece of content, they always kind of look at the title and the introduction. Is like, I can't get started. It's right there on my brain and I can't get it out. I have a certain few things that I do. I like to call them icebreakers. It's kind of like starting a conversation and trying to get the ball rolling. I mean, even to this day, and a lot of people laugh at me, say like you go to like Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, what scares you the most? Is it clowns, vampires? When I was a kid, I was scared to death of vampires. But for me, the absolute most terrifying thing is that blank screen of a word processor. People's like, oh, it's just limitless potential. No, because when you have that blank screen in the back of your mind, it's like, oh, crap, I have to actually, fill that up.
Yeah, I feel like it's sitting there mocking me because it just stares at me in the face, and it's the blinking cursor is just like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Logan, we got a question from Mixler. It says, my wife is new to writing and has built a website. She's currently not getting any visits, and when we search for her site, it sometimes does not even come up in search. How do we fix her site to be more visible and increase visits? That actually might be a me question. Or a Caleb
that's
question.
writing, but that's SEO too. So it's actually a really good question, and one a lot of site owners have. So I'm glad you asked that question for sure.
Yeah, probably the best answer from my angle that I can give to this, and I think you guys can get a little more technical aspect of it is, what audience do you want to write for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is it that you are defined by? There's some certain artists that I like to talk to, and they have a different opinion on this than I do, but they always want to talk about, that they don't want to feel limited. They don't want to they want to feel like they're writing for everybody and everyone's distinct to themselves. But in the real world, that just doesn't fly. You have to know exactly who your stuff is directed toward and for that particular amount of people. And it's not limiting at all, because it's kind of like a sniper. If you really focus hard on what this particular mindset, whether it's like millennials or maybe first-time homeowners, and I have personal finances on the brain because that's what my publishing company primarily works with. But or even just like Dr. Seuss and like little children's novels, you pinpoint who you're writing for, and then and then you can use the SEO capabilities that you have through like Facebook Business or anything to get that out there. And that probably lessens the price for advertising as well, if you can just really nail who you're writing for on that level. So
and make it engaging, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
Make it engaging.
Make it engaging. I know a lot of I know when I was in high school, and I think they still teach it this day, and it definitely has its place. But there's a thing called the 5-paragraph structure. Do y'all remember that?
Yep.
It's kind of like you start off with an introduction, first point, second point, third point, conclusion. It's really good. It has its issues, obviously, for many, many reasons.
Right.
But it's just something to kind of get the ball going, to get the brain juices flowing.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is when you introduce your concept and your idea, and that's also probably a biggest point, especially for web-based content, you really want to focus on a single point at a time. You don't want to rant, you don't want to ramble, single point at a time. But treat everything like you're telling a story. When you started off strong, have that lead into a second follow-up idea, and then that follow-up idea, everything sets up something else on the stage. Let's look at playwriting, for example. Like, you have a guy walk on a stage, and you don't know what he's there for. You have to give him an action that leads into another action, and you set up your web content the exact same way.
Absolutely. We call that a conversion online.
Or a funnel.
Or a funnel, and I think you were really on point with it, is you have to understand your audience, and that's even from an SEO perspective, because you're not going to reach everybody. In fact, 9 times out of 10, your audience is very acute, and you have to focus on that audience. And once again, I know Robert and I preach this all the time. You can't write for search engines. You can't be. That's really spammy. So you have to understand your audience. You have to understand what your audience wants. What they're going to engage with, and if you're not doing that, then you could be missing your audience completely.
Yeah, and it's so important to be laser focused. And a lot of webmasters fall into the hole where it's all about how much traffic can I get. It's not quantity. Again, it's quality. It's focusing your content towards your focused niche, what you're into. So, that's the most important thing. And then also, as far as the SEO stuff, you really obviously want to optimize the page. You want to make sure that you're targeting people with whatever the content may be, if it's a niche or whatever. Your titles and everything are clear and descriptive. And your meta descriptions, your H1 tags or your header tags, all that stuff's important. And I'm getting more and more questions.
This is one area where you can really use the tools that are available to you, whether it be through Webmaster Tools, Analytics, and even tools that Moz and other ones produce, where they'll tell you, you might be missing meta descriptions. Your title, you might not have a very good title element, and other things on your page are not explaining what your content is about. And if you're missing those things, then you might be searching for certain things or saying, well, I should be popping up for this. Well, if you're not doing those, have those things in order for your on-page optimization, then you're not going to be showing up.
Right. Now, the number to call in is 855-722-0006. Again, the number is 855-722-0006. And we have another question. It says, I'm attending school at Full Sail University. Awesome school. For internet marketing, what books do you recommend me reading to expedite my knowledge? Now, it really depends on, are you doing search engine marketing or search engine optimization?
Yeah.
But one book I would recommend for conversion optimization, which is a huge part of SEO. A lot of people think it's just about ranking, but I would recommend a book called The Conversion Funnel by Tim Ash. It's a great book to read. You could look that up. Okay, SEO marketing. I would recommend listening to possibly Whiteboard Friday.
Yes,
every Friday with Rand Fishkin. Here we go with Moz again.
Always Moz. But even on, and it's hard not to advocate for them and kind of say them on air, because they really get in detail about what everything is about as far as SEO goes. And those Whiteboard Fridays tackle very specific content as far as SEO, SEM, and digital marketing goes, which is pretty awesome. And there are a lot of awesome blogs that I would suggest reading daily. And we'll have one soon with Search Talk Live that will be awesome as well. But, there's a lot of resources out there where you can really expand your knowledge and focus on, because the one thing with SEO is that it's a huge industry. There's so many components of it, and knowing everything is difficult. But when I started out, you really didn't, it was kind of, 1, 2, 3, repeat. Now it's all in your strategy. It's all in developing that strategy, how you're going to implement it, understanding your analytics, what those analytics are telling you, and how you're going to adjust from what you see from those analytics. So there's so much that you have to dive into, and I would really, really recommend being as well-rounded as possible. Even Google offers classes that you can take, and it'll go step by step explaining these things as far as AdWords, analytics, webmaster tools, or Search Console as they now call it, all those kind of things that you really, really need to have a full grasp of.
Yeah, it's extremely, and Kayla brought up great. I mean, like if you're getting into SEO and marketing, search engine optimization, and I harp on this quite a bit, but it's not just about ranking a website.
Absolutely not.
It's about conversion optimization, obviously on-page SEO, site design, and if it's mobile friendly, if it goes into a lot of things, and making a site, anybody can bring traffic to a site.
Yeah.
But it takes a special person or a professional SEO to actually bring in the quality focused traffic and drive those conversions. And you can learn all this stuff from analytics. I would recommend going to Google's thing and learn Google Analytics, because that is a huge part of our job. Knowing where pages are bouncing, what's the flow of the conversion, how all that stuff works together. And then obviously get a Google AdWords certification. I have all of those. And then also, let's see, what else? Bing, it comes with time. You're not going to learn all this all at once.
No.
SEO itself is an ongoing, it's kind of like being a doctor. It's obviously not on the same level, but it's an ongoing learning curve. And I think now that Google has kind of leveled out as far as their big changes, I mean, you've got Panda, you've got Penguin, and they've all been updated, and everything else from here going forward, I don't see a huge change in. Nothing drastic. I mean, I mean, if it's kind of settled down basically. So if you learn best practices through these sites, I mean, another good person to follow on Twitter is at Rusty Brick, which is Barry Schwartz, John Mueller. If you go to YouTube, there's a lot of good videos. I have a YouTube channel. You can learn stuff. There's also there's Help Desk Hangouts that's done every Friday. I'm a part of sometimes. There's John Mueller, who was a guest just a couple weeks ago with us. He has a channel. Well, it's actually Google, but he gives a lot of insight to algorithms and how they work, and he's a great player. You can actually ask questions on his YouTube channel. He'll usually get back to you. Let's see. We got Rand Fishkin. We got any of the Moz stuff. They have videos and everything to help you use their tools. Moz, I'm not going to talk about Moz anymore. I was going to get it's a really great tool, but no, we don't get any ad revenue or anything from that. We just love the tools. We use them. And we also use some SEM Rush. We use Ahrefs. Yep. Let's see, what else?
Screaming Frog,
SpyFu.
Bunch of stuff.
A lot of people call it SpyFu, but I don't think
that's one way to say it.
But yeah. Anyway, so let's see. I think Brian says, thank you for your information. What analytics software do you recommend?
Analytics software?
Well, we use professional tools, but we also use Google Analytics. I like Raven Tools.
Raven Tools is awesome.
It's also amazing for reporting.
Yes.
It's
very detailed
and
very
really
good.
Nice layout and beautiful, easy to understand, and that's what you need to give to your clients.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've been told to use
for
HubSpot.
for up and coming SEOs. If you're looking an aspiring SEO, like I said, it's a continuing learning process. Nobody knows everything that's going on, and there's best practices, and it's a small thing that sets good SEOs apart from others, and that's because they continue to learn, they continually stay involved in the community, and understanding what impacts your website, and positively and negatively, as far as with your audience, with the search engines and everything like that, because there's so much that goes into it. So you're not gonna. I've been doing this almost 4 years, and I get frustrated, and I didn't know that, stuff like that. And so it's a continual learning process. So stay active in it, and keep reading as much as you can.
You have to. And I'm 13 years into it, and I still am learning new stuff. So always be humble to that stuff. Don't ever think you know everything.
No.
And don't be careful who you follow. Now, if you use you were asking, you were told to use HubSpot. HubSpot's, I don't know, I've never used their analytics before, but I do know they are great at doing certain things. They're great at advertising. They're great at getting leads.
Yeah.
They're very expensive. Their webinars nobody does better webinars than these guys, as far as bringing in people and actually getting viewers. But I can't talk on that, so I don't have the answer for you on HubSpot.
Yeah. Just learn analytics, especially Google Analytics. But the main thing is learn how to use the information that it's providing you, and that's going to set you apart. And that's going to set you above the rest. So if you can use that information to really develop your strategy and change things up and move forward, then you're going to be all right.
Yeah, and I forgot one really important source you can get information from. That's Search Talk Live.
Absolutely. Listen to Search Talk Live, and please ask your questions. Like, that's a really good question. That's where we provide the best advice.
Yeah, I would prefer you call in, but we answer your questions live on the air too.
Speaking of that, phone number 855-722-0006, 855-722-0006. I promise we won't bite if you call on in and with your questions, comments, and concerns. We do have Mr. Logan Walmsley in studio today. He is our content specialist, and he's very good at it as well. So if you got questions for him on how you can write effective, quality content, then please call on in.
Yeah, please.
And I did want to give a shout out to, I'm sorry, Logan, give me 1 second. We want to thank the Robert Palmer family of companies for letting us use the studio and using Dave, our engineer, for today's show.
Yes.
And let's see.
The Robert Palmer family of companies we are powered by, and we definitely appreciate it.
Now, Logan, to get back to, I'm sorry to kind of go off topic here.
Oh, no. That's it's more important than anything I can say, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And to finish off your question, Brian, there is Search Engine Land, there's Search Engine Roundtable, there's Search Engine Journal. All of those are highly recommended. None of those are black hat. They're all white hat people. Rand Fishkin is an amazing. He's an entrepreneur, but he's also a philanthropist and many other things. And a really good person. And he spends most of his time giving out information and his insight on the future of search and all that type of stuff. Okay, Logan. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Now, wouldn't you say, like, maybe, go into competitions, websites, kind of look at the writing style and that type of thing would be a good suggestion?
Yes, absolutely. I tell this to a lot of people too, that every good writer that's ever walked the face of this earth, in my opinion, even go back to William Shakespeare, I think you have to learn to be a good reader, to be a good writer. It's just part of the job. And say if you're writing web content, it's going to show up on Google to promote a particular business. You read your competition, you look at how they structure it. Because especially if they're an established competitor, if they're going to have more brand recognition than you, obviously you may not agree with their message, you may not agree with how they do it, but apparently they're doing something right, because they wouldn't be around as long as they were if people weren't actually reading it.
True.
Now, you can cover the same subject matter, you can cover the same points, but again, when you separate yourself out, you want to figure out how to slant it to your own particular voice and your own particular opinion. You can cover the same material, but do it from a totally different direction.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people shy away from is, well, if my competitor's saying it, I can't do it. I have to be completely different. Well, there's only so many ways or so many things you can focus on. Obviously, if y'all are in the same industry, in the same niche, what you're focusing on is going to be the same. So you're going to be saying the same things. It's just all about in how you say it. And just like you said, your own style, which is kind of what you have to come up with, is create your own style to set yourself apart.
Mm-hmm. And also, look at how they structure it. Do they start off with the big point right at the end? My personal favorite way, they start off with some kind of anecdote or story to lead in to the main point.
Right.
And again, if they are not, and once you understand their structure, you can either mimic that structure if you so choose, or you can put your own particular style on it. Maybe they are kind of going with the factual way and, trying to back up their science with knowledge, statistics, that sort of thing. Maybe you can take a slightly different route with the same audience and go for more of the individual storytelling aspect of it. Talk about maybe personal experiences you've had with your clients. If your competition is using third person, try to use first person. Go with I. Put yourself into the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice, because I think that's one thing me and Caleb both preach is unique content and bring value, something that nobody else has given. Even if you're taking a story from another site and rewriting it and doing it, add something to it. Give it some, something
Panache.
Yes, thank you. It's great having you in. I appreciate you coming into and talking in the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I love the new digs, by the way. Love the new name.
Oh.
You especially talking about like titles and differentiating yourself from the audience. I think you guys are doing a pretty good job.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
One question I know a lot of people have when they're writing, because you've done some writing for blogs and websites and stuff like that, Logan, is how do you find topics to cover? Because that can be really difficult. You write about certain things, you keep covering the same thing, or how can you find new, fresh ideas?
Oh my goodness, this is definitely difficult. Okay, and it's something that I struggle with absolutely every single day, especially if you're like a content writer for like an online publication, and every single day, probably even applies to radio shows. You have to come up with something new. You got to have something new to talk to. It's expected of you. Again, whenever you put yourself into the conversation, if you actually use the I, and put yourself into it, you can take personal experiences from your life every single day. That is an ultimate icebreaker. Think about what happened that day and then develop your ideas from your life. I think that is an incredibly useful way of doing it. Mm-hmm. Again, you can Google search and you can research others. You never go out of research mode. Never relax. Your brain is always soaking these things up like a sponge. Again, there's no real easy way to do it, but always have the pen in your hand. Always make sure you're on the lookout for something that just could be very interesting to people. It's hard. It is not easy.
It is definitely difficult. Yeah,
and I think that it's a good thing to when you're looking for content, look at stuff that's being shared a lot. Look at, if you're a blogger or whatever, look at sites that, look at the share, the frequency of shares, all those signals that, hey, this is a great topic or article to need to look at, because then what's going to happen is if you're sharing this on social media and that type of stuff, you're definitely going to get that readership. You know?
I know, one thing that early on was shared with me and that I share to individuals now is that if you're reading really, really quality content that's being shared all over the place that people are engaging with, you can find certain parts of that content and create a whole new article out of it. So, if they're talking on, multiple points, they have certain things going on, they might touch on certain multiple aspects of a certain topic. Take one out of those and really expand on it. If they're engaging with that content, and if that's an important piece of the content, you can take something out of that and create your whole new, if they only provided a little bit, well, why don't you just take that and provide, a plethora of information on it for people to engage with? So, read up on your competitors, read up on what's going on in your industry, and see what is a hot topic, see what people are really, really interested in. And some of your competitors, some of these things that are already out there are going to give you topics to write on within their own content. So you can really expand on small parts of other content and use as your own.
Yeah, I can chip in here on this because I think it's really important. That style, especially if you're in a web-based developer, is really, really important. You want to be fast, and you really want to know what is current. We all kind of live in this social media like Instagram phase where everything going on right now is more important than the past and more important than the future. If you want to actually draw in people and you draw them in absolutely quick, take something current events that is going to go away in the next day or two and get that thing out there. You get yourself a part of the conversation immediately. You go out to class, you're going to sound dated. You really want to keep yourself up to date consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are we going to talk about here? We're going to we have some other topics we want to talk about. The number here, excuse me, number here is 855-722-0006. Again, the number is 855-722-0006. We have quite a few listeners. Please call in with your questions. And I'm glad to see we've got some people from Full Sail listening in. I think is awesome because I think I have a friend that's a professor out there, and I think that he sent them to a couple seminars and all kinds of stuff that
awesome.
I've done. But I love Full Sail. It's everybody that comes out of there is just, it should be.
Yeah,
it's an expensive school.
Yeah.
But they're awesome. So keep your ears to the tracks and listen to these people that I mentioned. Check out some of these websites. You're never going to be steered wrong from these people. They always give great information. And then I also wanted to bring up the fact that this next episode will not be broadcasted here. It's going to be broadcasted on the Spreaker. Spreaker.com.
Spreaker.
That's S. I put a link in the chat there.
Yeah.
And I'll also put a link in the video below once it goes onto my YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll make sure y'all get this information.
You can you can tweet us at Search Talk Live on Twitter, and we'll be putting out that information there as well. And then, so I think the other thing we wanted to talk about, I wanted to dive into, we don't have a lot of time for this, but I wanted to do Google Analytics a little bit, maybe next episode. But I do want to talk about ways to market your website, paid ways, for less expensive, smaller cost.
Yeah.
For you. It depends on your budget, but
it can get pretty costly pretty quick if you're not doing it right, and if you're basically using the wrong tools. So I think this is an awesome topic to cover, especially for small businesses, small websites that don't have the funds to really go out there and wrestle with the big boys and spend all that money to get the notice like they can.
Yeah. I guess where I want to start out with, and like I said, depending on your budget, you don't have to have a massive budget, but what you do need to be is laser focused. When you're doing paid search, this is when it costs you money. So it's so important to stay laser focused. Don't focus on traffic. Well, focus on traffic, but don't focus on, the non-quality bad traffic that's not going to convert.
Right.
And there's ways to find that out. If you're as a business owner or website owner, you have Google Analytics on your website. You can go in there and you can actually look and see what your demographic is. Does it skew more female than male? Is it, what mobile devices are being used? Ages, all that stuff if somebody's logged into, can't talk. If someone's logged into Google and they can, and they go into your site, those analytics track just about everything, interests, all that stuff. That's why, it's important to get those things, laser focused. If you have $100 and this is, a crazy amount, Google AdWords can be expensive.
Yeah.
And depending on what your niche is, there's attorneys like bankruptcy attorneys, stuff like that cost, $50 a click, sometimes higher than that, or in most cases, sorry. But, if you're a small niche company or you're just trying to draw traffic to a blog or whatever, you can do that for pretty cheap as long as you stay laser focused on your audience.
Well, I think that's why it's really important to understand your analytics and be able to interpret and utilize the information that it's providing you, because just like you said, if you're not laser focused and you might think you're reaching a certain demographic, a certain age group, a certain gender, whatever it may be, and that's maybe what you're trying to go after, but in essence there's something completely different. If you're not tracking that analytics, using that information and really implementing the information that's given you into your paid search campaigns, then it's all going to be for nothing and you're going to be wasting a lot of money.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when you're setting up a campaign in AdWords, those of you that never used it, or I'm going to talk at that level because it is complicated, that setting that up, and you really need somebody that knows what they're doing. But if the biggest mistake I see is people just loading up an ad group or campaign with just a ton of keywords they think is perfect for their website. When in fact, when you do that, you blow your budget like in one day, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your budget's set daily, but you just blow your budget. You're just getting a bunch of crap traffic.
I know that's a whole different show, and we've touched on it before, but understanding keyword research is really important aspect of paid search, right, Robert?
Absolutely. And if you, I'm not going to go into how to set up these campaigns in this episode, but when you set up an ad groups are made to theme out different keywords so that when your ad shows, it shows relevant to what your keywords are being used in that ad campaign or the ad group. So if your ad groups are, laser focused, it may only have 2 keywords in it, depending on your budget. If you know that keyword brings you traffic and it's quality, then yeah, go for it. But, just don't load that up. And I don't want to go into crazy details over that right now because we just don't have time.
Yeah.
But Logan, what we were saying before is, it's all about quality. It's and that goes through your content, your keywords, because you might have keywords you rank for. I'm sure everybody does, that just bring a bunch of junk in. And it never converts.
Oh, yeah, and that establishes trust. And you want to have quality, but you also want to have consistency. You want to make sure that those keywords that you're using, don't just use these keywords that's going to drive in a bunch of junk traffic that's going to make you jump right back off the page. No, you want to have the keywords that really establish your article to draw them in, but also keep them going. Keep them reading. Don't mislead anybody with the content that you're trying to present to them. That is a quick way to get yourself off the map.
Absolutely. And I think with the whole keyword aspect, if you're going after what everybody else is going after, the cost per click and everything like that, you're not going to be as competitive. That's why I think if you're handling a smaller company's paid search, if you're doing your own website, whatever it may be, doing keyword research and finding different ways to say the same thing, I think are very crucial when it comes to this. And that does take a lot of research. It does take a lot of, developing that strategy, but finding different ways to say the same thing are going to help you, especially if there's low competition for those words.
Yeah. Now, the next thing I would say, if you're on a small budget, I wouldn't say use AdWords. I would say, I would say use Facebook.
Yeah.
I would say probably 8 out of 10 people are on Facebook, and they are, of all walks of life. And when you're on Facebook and you set up your Facebook profile and they ask you, what are your interests? Like, do you like this band or do you like this? That's not because they want to know that. That's all marketing.
Yeah.
So when you tell them your birth date, your age, and all this stuff, it's all going into the marketing bundle. So with Facebook, you can there's your laser focus. You can get what the interest of that person is. If they're a person that liked this certain band or this certain content or whatever it may be, you can so laser focus. And in the more focused you get, the less you pay per click. And I think we've talked about this before. You can get your clicks down under 5 cents a click.
Oh, yeah.
And that, either from a branding standpoint or just bringing quality traffic, it's huge.
Absolutely. And, the show we had with Tom and Dan, Robert, really, really went into detail about this. But with Facebook, you can get so focused on who you're trying to reach. And there's, you go through and build your Facebook profile and you're like, oh, I like this movie, or, hey, I own a home and, I do this and all of that. And just like you said, you might think that you're building your Facebook profile for all your friends to see and everything like that, but really you're providing them with the information. So when people go on and use their marketing, that, you fall in line. And if you fall into somebody's, a vision on who they're trying to reach, they're going to reach you. But just being able to not only, just focus on a certain audience, you can get so specific with it, as to one line of credit. They have, 2 children, or they're just married, or they're engaged, anything like that. So
get ready to move.
Yeah, they're getting ready to move, or, or they, whatever it may be, or they, they have this kind of credit card, or here are their spending habits. If you're in e-commerce,
income,
knowing people's spending habits, who they're listening to on the radio, what TVs they're watching, what they just recently bought, and everything like that. I mean, you have all that information. You have access to all that information. And if you can use it wisely, just like Robert said, you can get your cost per click very, very low. And, if you are on a low budget, you're not going to be spending that much, and you can really utilize the funds you do have.
Yeah, if you have $100 for a monthly budget, if you get that click down to 5 cents a click or 3 cents a click, you're looking around 3,000 people visiting your site. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
I'll take that all day long.
Absolutely.
Because I have clients right now that bid quite a bit of money for just one click. And
if you provide that quality content, you're going to have them returning for free.
Yeah.
That's where the quality content thing comes in. If you have that quality content, your return users, now you're not going to have to pay for them. They're going to visit your site regularly. They're going to search for you. They're going to be a part of your Facebook page. They're going to be fans, like your Facebook page, visit it daily. What is this? What are they doing? What content are they putting out? What news do they have? Anything like that. So you might be paying for them on the front end, but once you build that relationship, you build that trust, you provide that quality content, that's when you get them coming back. And that's really the investment that you're having and you're making.
Yeah. And a lot of our listeners actually have a blog. One thing I would highly recommend if you're doing paid traffic to your blog is having some kind of newsletter or something that a person can sign up to.
Absolutely.
Because those people are going to come back, whether if you do a newsletter or if you just have a feed that goes once a week to those subscribers.
Yeah.
They're going to come back to your site to read those articles they're interested in. So building up that over time, you can have thousands of people on that list, and you can just every week you send out a thing, you've got 1,000 people, bam, hitting the site, reading your content, going from different pages to different pages. That's another quality content indicator, is that if somebody reads an article, then they want to read another article and they go to another page. That's a good signal. That means you got some good stuff in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. So that's one thing you want to watch too, is your bounce rate. So but I don't want to go into that again because we've already covered that, but maybe in a later episode we'll probably rehash that. But having that, a mailing list, bringing people back to your site. They've already loved your site. They've already read some articles. They even signed up for your newsletter.
Yeah, you got them. They're there. You've built that relationship, established that trust.
As long as you don't abuse it and you're not mailing them every hour or every day, or I would say once a week.
Yeah.
And then give them plenty of content to just look at and have it feed. And there's free ways of doing that. If you're, like we said, if you're on a budget, you can go to MailChimp. You can actually submit your RSS feed to them, and then you set up a mailing list. Once that builds up, you can it's all done free, and there's no cost. Now, once you get up to 1,000 or more people in your list, then you have to pay. But at that point, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not against having ad revenue on your site. As long as you do it right and you're not spamming with it and it's all over the site. But I would recommend putting, 1 or 2 banners on your site that can bring in, you're not going to get rich overnight from it, but it can definitely bring in some revenue.
Yeah.
And as your traffic builds and as that list builds, you're going to see some great things.
Yep. 855-722-0006, 855-722-0006. This is Search Talk Live with Robert and Caleb, and our special guest today, Logan Walmsley. We're powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies, which we definitely appreciate lending us in studio today to do the show, and every Tuesday to do the show. Yep. But yeah, you're definitely right. That newsletter is a crucial one, and it's all about relationship building. And I say that as far as SEO and reaching your audience, and even as a link building perspective. Building relationships now is one of the important parts of SEO, and one that's really not going to be in a textbook, but it's a crucial one to grow your audience, grow your community, have those outlets available to you to boost your content. So it's something that you need to take the time to do and really focus on, because there's going to be several benefits that come from that.
Yeah, and as far as those mailing lists go, you can actually have like a pop-up show up on the first screen just once. Yeah, it's not really not too intrusive, but you can say, hey, subscribe to our list, or you can say, if they jump to a second page, show them that pop-up. Yeah, because then you go, oh, these people are interested in your content. Those are the people you want on your mailing list. Yeah. Trust me. Yeah, because and that's probably a better way to do it. So if you if they go from one article to another, those are people that are highly interested in what you have to say. Yeah, they love your articles. They love what you write about. And that's a great signal to show that you have good quality content. Yeah, absolutely. So, if they're going, and I know we're not going to touch much on bounce rate, but that's one thing that's going to tell you in your page sessions. If you see that you have people going to multiple pages, and that's something good, and you're not using a newsletter, then you're really, hindering your growth. So if they're going to multiple pages and you have to set up that newsletter, you have to get your content in front of them, because, we've talked about, it's all about sharing. And even as a link building perspective, the more things are shared, the more people that are going to see it, the more people that are going to link to your content. That's one resource that you have to use. Yeah. And then also at the bottom of your article, always have a related topic or post type of thing at the bottom of that article. That's really important. And, I've done some investigating on a lot of different sites, and one that I've really, it's an infinite scroll site, but it's the LA Times. They have a really interesting navigation. If you look up the Los Angeles Times, it's an infinite scroll. Basically, when you start finishing an article, it leads you into another topic that's already relevant to what you're looking at, and just keeps you reading and reading and reading. The engagement is amazing. And then you get a lot of shares and all that stuff too with social media. So that's another part, that's a whole nother component that you need to have in that blog or article. Yeah. Infinite scrolling is an interesting topic. A lot of people think, well, it's going to hurt your SEO. It's going to, you're going to get people thinking you're spammy, or they're not going to like it too much. And there's others saying, just like you said, it's going to keep them engaged, keep them going on to the next one, I haven't seen really any studies done if that's something that, has benefited sites or not. If you do infinite scrolling, I would really like to hear somebody that is hands-on with it, and they have it on their site and have had a positive feedback for their audience. So that would be something great to talk about if that's something that you have on your website. But just like you said, Robert, have something at the bottom if you're not infinite scrolling, related story, something. Don't give them a reason to leave your site. Don't give them they finished the story, there's nothing else. Okay, well, let's move on without our day. No, keep them engaged, give them reasons to stay on your site, to keep engaging with your content, and to share your content. And the more and more you're able to do that, the more you build that relationship with that individual, the more they're going to become part of your sharing army, as I like to say, and start sharing their content with their friends. And then it's a snowball effect. Yep, absolutely. And as long as you, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with me today. as long as you're consistent with the sharing and all that stuff, you're going to keep bringing new visitors back. And if they keep reading your content and you're building that mailing list. That mailing list is so important, regardless if you're selling a product or doing a blog or an article. Get people on your mailing list, because that's your army. That's your, the people that are interested in your site and content.
Yeah.
There is a certain precaution I'd like to add to that, though.
Please do.
Yeah. Quality beats quantity any day of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Now, while it's absolutely 100% important, to keep people on your site and to keep them reading, don't post a random article from your site that has no correlation with the article that's already been written. Right. Whenever you understand your audience and you understand who you're writing for, you know what to link to each content itself. And there's only so many hours in the day. Whenever you're writing, you don't want to cover a million topics at once. If you're laser focused on that particular topic for that particular audience, you'll be able to concentrate on articles that are important to them all at one time.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Very
I'm glad you brought that up. I actually read a content site. They were a news site. They basically just a blog shooting out content. They felt like they had to post consistently throughout the day. They're doing 10 posts, 12 posts, 15 posts throughout the day, trying to get all this information out there, thinking they're going to increase traffic, get their content out there, and they really felt like they were exhausting themselves. So they took a step back and were actually doing probably about a post or two a day, and actually saw and were really focusing on the content they were writing, who they were writing for, how they were, the quality of it, and they actually saw their traffic increase.
Yeah,
and they didn't think that would happen. They said, well, the less content, we're able to really focus and use our resources for these specific pieces of content. And what they realized is they were providing better quality. And even though they were writing fewer pieces, their audience really enjoyed what they were putting out and wanted to engage with it. So you don't have to feel like, okay, I got to put out this. So many articles, so many pieces of content throughout the day and throughout the week, and you just have to flood your site with all this content. It's really, less is more is sometimes a good way to take at it, because you can actually focus on that certain piece of content and really focus on the quality and building that up and providing that for your audience.
Right. We have about, 8 minutes. Call in with your questions or a topic you want to talk about. The number is 855-722-0006. Again, it's 855-722-0006. Both Logan and Caleb, that was great what you just said.
Yeah.
I mean, because we harp on this all the time.
Right.
Kind of a good analogy. Here we go with the analogy. I think I'm gonna do good with this one though.
Get the earplugs.
No, you'd have to listen to some of the episodes, but my analogies aren't that great. But anyway, what I'm gonna say is, instead of putting out 10 articles and getting, you could put out 2 articles versus 10 articles and get more traffic. That settles your problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Stop working yourself to death and focus on the quality and write for people, not search engines.
Yeah, and one thing is, if you're writing all that content and keep going and going and going and going, you're not really focusing on how you're getting that in front of your audience. And I think that is a major component that people forget. You might be writing this content, but you're not focusing on how you're getting it in front of your audience, which is a whole different, it's a totally different strategy. So writing that quality content, focusing on those pieces, and allowing yourself to really develop a strategy for how you're going to get engagement with your audience, get eyes on your content, and how you're going to get it out there and get it shared. You're going to have more time for that and be able to focus on that, as you're not putting out 10, 15, 20 pieces of content throughout the day. So absolutely.
Caleb.
Yeah.
Say hi to the camera.
Hey, camera.
Yeah.
Mr. Casey's in the house today.
Yeah.
Helping us out, filming us, doing awesome.
Yeah.
So
we're working on a promo for the show, and you guys can give us your opinion on how it is.
Yeah.
Casey's pretty awesome. He puts out some pretty amazing video work. So.
He absolutely does. You can check out a lot of his stuff at Casey J. Porter, right? On Twitter, at Casey J. Porter. Awesome stuff. Helping the man out.
Yeah, man.
Helping the man out.
And then, let's see, how much time we got there, David?
We got a few minutes.
We got 5 minutes.
We should, for the people who did join late in the show, we are now Search Talk Live.
Yep.
No longer Digital Duo. I know Digital Duo is an awesome name. It kind of rolled off the tongue, and we came up with it real quick. But there's another. As we develop our brand, as we build what we got going on here, this is what, episode 15, Rob? 14, 15?
This is 14, yeah.
14. We've done 14 shows, and we've had some awesome engagement from the audience and a lot of participation, a lot of support.
Yeah.
And so we really want to grow this thing. And as we do, we kind of had to do a little brand change. So Search Talk Live is what we are now and what we're going to move forward with as we continue to grow. And we hope you take on this journey with us.
Yes.
And continue to listen and talk with us and engage with us. Because as we talk about search engine marketing, search engine optimization, digital marketing, all of the above.
Yeah, social media.
Social media.
Yeah, we'll also be, I just posted the URL on Mixler. We will be posting the show here, but it won't be live here. It's going to be live on that particular URL I just put you there on, or put on the chat. And it's if you want to follow us there, our next episode will be on iTunes.
Yep.
All of our episodes will be on iTunes when I'm done.
Go download, man.
Especially
for you young guys at Full Sail and ladies and gentlemen at Full Sail, anywhere else. If you're newer in SEO, there's a lot of good information to learn and grow on.
We have a question here. This will fill up our 5 minutes. Sorry about the question, but what is your thoughts on PBNs, private blog networks?
Private blog networks?
Yes. I can give you my opinion, but it's only my opinion.
Go ahead.
If it's for our linking, and you should know this, if it's from a link standpoint you're talking about, stay away from them.
Yep, absolutely.
Because Google's got a pretty good list going of, I got about 3 minutes. Okay. Of the private blog network. So way Google tells if it's a private blog network, usually it comes from a same domain or not domain, but IP address.
Yeah.
But for building links, it's not good quality. The only reason you should be building links in it is to benefit your site.
Absolutely.
In a way that it brings traffic and that type of stuff.
I mean, there are ways to do it effectively, but if you're having the mindset of doing it, and mainly it's for link farming purposes, to really just kind of build everything up and funnel links to every one of them. If that's how you're going to do it, then it's going to be, you're going to get bad results from it, and might be setting yourself up for some type of penalty. But there's ways to do it if you're doing it just to provide quality content, and you can link to other sites that you have, but you have to do it in the right way, understanding the content of what you're talking about, what the content is about, and even if it's relatable to the other sites that you do have. So, I mean, there's ways to do it effectively, but you really have to, tread lightly on how you're going to do it. And there's a lot of good information on, there's some big sites that really do that and have those kind of communities. But, they tell you that these are their certain communities and this is what they're doing, and this is how they're doing it. So you understand how they have it set up. But there's a lot of communities out there that they're specifically to build each other up, to provide links to each other and stuff like that. So that's something to tread lightly. You can do it, but you have to be very careful.
Exactly. And we had a guy asking what our YouTube channel is. Now, I want to tell, but first let's go with Mr. Orion, the editor-in-chief of Orion. If you want to reach Orion on Twitter or...
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to contact me with any questions you might have. And when you look at your stuff from an editorial perspective, I'd love to help you out. My email is logan@orioninternationalpress.com. Or find me on Facebook, Logan Walmsley. I'd be happy to help you out anytime.
And awesome. We are at Search Talk Live on YouTube. Yep. It's our new location, so follow us there. You can follow me at Robert, last name Ohaver. And Logan?
Yes?
I'm sorry. Caleb?
That's all right. It happens all the time. At CJ_MCE. Hook up with us on Twitter at Search Talk Live. We got a lot of good things coming your way, and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks for your support, and we'll see you next week, guys.
Search Talk Live is a presentation of the Robert Palmer family of companies.